BYU takes down Kansas State 80-65. The win for the Cougars ends Kansas State's 6-game win streak. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte here in Provo. Huge win for BYU, Matt, and defensively an impressive performance for the Cougars.
Yeah, only 22 points allowed in the first half, and it was evident from the moment this game started that they were locked in. Baiamonte was outstanding in the first half. He finished with 5 blocks, 11 rebounds, a lot of that damage coming in the first half. I thought he set the tone in the paint, and BYU had their way in the paint. Even offensively, they outscored Kansas State in the paint, but to your point, defensively, they were locked in for most of the game, and I thought Mitch, on both sides of the game, offensively and defensively, I thought this was maybe BYU's most complete performance of the year.
It was a nice showing from BYU, and look, again, it's not quad 1A in terms of net rankings, but Kansas State was one of the best teams in the country over the past month, and BYU hammered that team and reminds people that this BYU team is ascending. They are climbing, and that's exciting for BYU, who I think they're an NCAA tournament team. Not a lock yet, but they look the part. Yeah. And I think that's half the battle sometimes when you're a committee and you're sizing up these teams and that bubble's weak. BYU's got talented players, and they've got depth too. That was highlighted once again. BYU plays 11 guys. You're seeing Trey Stewart get valuable minutes defensively and then knocks down a 3 as well. They're getting contributions from all areas.
And Kevin Young was asked, would you have ever thought at this point in the year you'd have a late 11-man rotation? Yeah. He's like, no, I thought it would have been 8-man. But guys are earning minutes. Mahilo, I think, added some nice minutes again at the 5. And Kevin Young referred to him, Foose, and Keita as that 3-man group at the 5. So, hey, if it's going to work, and the thing that really makes it all work are the players are bought in. You see, you don't hear anyone being disgruntled, whether it's Trey playing more minutes, maybe Trevanell's not playing as many minutes. He didn't play a ton tonight, but guys are coming in, they're making plays, and they're winning. And to your point, they are ascending. They're playing their best basketball of the year.
And when you talk about players aren't disgruntled, Dallin Hall could have been maybe one of those disgruntled guys. Season high in points for him, 16 points, and as Kevin Young noted, he carried this BYU team in the second half. I thought that was a great performance from Dallin, and it just reminds people that this was an honorable mention All Big 12 guard a season ago. Been kind of viewed as a role guy at best this year, but when he's on and he was taking care of business at the free throw line, he's a very good guard in this league, and it's exciting too because he had that moment last year against Kansas, and then the Jayhawks are coming up on Tuesday. Great timing for Dallin.
This felt like the first game where him and Yegor, it worked. Maybe not seamlessly, but it didn't feel like, oh, his turn, my turn. They played together. They played well. Yegor, 8 assists, only 2 turnovers. That is a winning stat line, Mitch. 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Dallin Hall getting to the free throw line, getting downhill, 7-9 from the charity stripe. Those are really good signs moving forward.
And how about defensively in the first half? Dallin Hall basically stonewalls Coleman Hawkins. And what was interesting, too, in that moment, it was on the baseline down the other end. Kevin Young's telling the other BYU players on the court, don't help. It was almost like they knew that Dallin was capable of doing that. And I just thought that was impressive. The physicality from BYU, from Dallin, from Baiamonte, from everyone on this team was impressive tonight. And they overwhelmed Kansas State. Jerome Tang noted in the postgame, Kansas State only had 6 assists off 25 made field goals. It was a lot of one-on-one action. Coleman Hawkins was non-existent in this game. He only had 2 field goals. BYU kept him in check. This was a solid win for the Cougars.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's especially noteworthy. You talked about this on Cougar Sports Saturday today, but they don't make 10 threes. They did not shoot the ball well from 3, and yet they dominated this game. They led by 22 points at one point, and they end up winning by double digits. They get to 80 points. Just a really great team performance, and where not everything went well. They had a 5-minute scoring drought in the first half, and yet the game was never in doubt.
BYU now improves to 8-6 in Big 12 play. Coming up Tuesday night, the Kansas Jayhawks. And I asked the players in the post game, it feels like we've talked about that game coming to Provo for 3 years since BYU got invited to the Big 12. It's happening Tuesday night, BYU and Kansas, and we'll see how Kansas looks after they're in a dogfight with Utah, so we'll check in on that. But big game Tuesday. Initial thoughts on BYU Kansas real quick?
I think BYU is going to be favored, and I think if they can find a way to make Hunter Dickinson work for his points and work, he can't just patrol the paint. You need Baiamonte to have another big game. But Kansas, to me, is not much different than last year. I don't think they're deep. I don't think they have elite talent. I think BYU can and probably should beat the Kansas team on Tuesday night.
I agree. We'll talk about it more on Monday night. Cougar Nation, 6 to 7 on KSL News Radio. So check out all of our coverage on KSLSports.com.